Welcome to the good, the bad, and the sequel with your hosts, Doug and Jamie.
Gremlins 2. The new batch.
Now, was that civilized? No, clearly not. Fun, but in no sense civilized.
Welcome back. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching. And the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. Really hope you enjoyed last week's interview with voice actor extraordinaire, Neil Ross. We talked him being the voice of Rambo the cartoon, the fact that they had a Rambo the cartoon, mind-blowing. And the fact that he said he was only the talking bathroom in this week's sequel, Gremlins 2, but it sounded like him throughout the building, like exactly. But before we talk about this sequel that makes fun of sequels, Gremlins 2, I got to introduce you to my partner in the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I want to wish you an early happy Thanksgiving. And I want to give you for giving me an opportunity to watch this movie again, because I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh my God. This movie is something. And it was funny. Before we started recording, I was saying, like, I watched this movie, remember as a kid, and then I'm like, man, everybody's like overacting and there's like so much stuff to it. So it's a satire. Do you want to hear the story about like everything about this movie real quick?
I do want to hear it because the movie is absolutely bonkers. So yeah, and you know, just before you get into the story, just this movie reminded me of a Muppet slash SNL skit movie. Like if you could combine Saturday Night Live with the Muppets, you have this movie.
Yeah, because there's so many random like little skits within this.
Yep.
So Joe Dante, who did The Howling, he did The Burbs, which this movie has a lot of Burbs.
Yes, they do.
In it.
Yep.
The first Gremlins, nobody wanted it. Steven Spielberg, Amblin fell in love with it, produced the movie. So he looked up to him. And it's kind of funny afterwards. Joe Dante was actually in the writer's room for Jaws 3, People Zero, the movie that basically made Spielberg say like, hey, if you do this movie, I'm never going to work with you guys again. So he did Gremlins, loved it. Everything went great. So right afterwards, the movie did phenomenal. I think the budget was 40. They made 200. So like, oh my God, let's do another one. Joe Dante is like, no, I don't want to do a sequel. Kept saying no. Then it gets to the point that they say, come on, just do it. He says no. And then I wrote down the exact quote. He says, so they said to me, if you give us a couple of cans of films with Gremlins in them next summer, you can do whatever you want. And they gave me 3 times the money we had to make the first one. So I made Gremlins 2, which was essentially about how there didn't need to be a sequel to Gremlins. Amazing.
Yeah, but see, the public doesn't know that when they're watching it. So, you know, right. So you look in this movie. I mean, you know, that all makes sense now that I've seen the movie. But if I didn't hear about that and I'm watching a movie for the first time, I'm thinking this movie's garbage. Like it's like so bonkers. Like, I mean, yes, there were very few and far between funny parts. It's just all over the place. So, but that makes sense. That makes complete sense. And you know what? A lot of this movie does not make sense. If you compare it to the first movie, I mean, the first movie, first of all, I think it's considered a horror movie, sort of like maybe a dark comedy horror. I don't know what they're going for with this movie.
Well, the thing that's kind of funny is how great and people love the first one. And again, he admits it. He was making fun of sequels and, you know, the fact that Gremlins didn't need a sequel. But I don't know what they're doing with this movie because there are a lot of jokes that I love. So now after reading that full satire, even though while we're watching it, we're like, hey, there's some satire in this. It's like we're going to talk like Airplane 2, Scary Movie 4. But to open the movie, did you think the Bugs Bunny sequence was a little long?
I thought I was watching the wrong movie. And you know, I remember I texted you. I'm like, is Bugs Bunny? I don't remember that part at all. And first of all, I mean, it does make sense because there's a lot of product placement in this movie too. So I think, you know, and things the second time you see WB in the movie because there's a part I think where one of the gremlins is getting a tattoo of WB on his chest. So there is definitely, so yeah, it was long. I starting off with that, I'm like, oh boy, that, I remember what I'm getting myself into,
So like I said, I did a lot of like behind the scenes watching. The original beginning was like 2 minutes longer
than that.
Oh, dude, there was a whole part that Daffy kept like hitting the TV, and there was different names for Gremlins too. And then Bugs is like, no, one more time. It just says Gremlins 2. But the other one was like Gremlins Part 6. And it was like all this like, but dude, the fact that they open with that, if I saw it in the movie theater, I'd be like, holy shit, am I in the wrong movie?
Yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you right now, though, I do love the Looney Tunes, and I almost prefer it being 2 minutes longer of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, which would make this movie 2 minutes shorter.
And Joe Dante directed Looney Tunes Back in Action. So he loved Looney Tunes that much. So he wanted to pay that homage. Here's another fact. The opening sequence, you see the Twin Towers.
Yep.
In that opening sequence, that wasn't filmed for Gremlins 2. That was extra leftover footage from Superman 4 Quest for Peace.
Holy crap.
They never used it. So they were like, oh, you know what? We'll just take it.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
And then
you know what? There's a lot of character actors in this movie too.
Oh, a ton.
There's tons of cameo. 100%. Like it's like so. Like I don't know if they're on board because it's satire and they're like, it's just gonna be fun, or like they thought they were making a good hit movie after Gremlins. Like I wonder what possessed them to come in the movie. I mean, or is that where all the budget went?
Maybe that's where the budget went, but maybe they were just like, do what you want. Because with John Astin's role, we'll talk about later, they were basically like, just do whatever you want.
All right. That makes sense.
So he probably just was like, hey, whatever. But it was cool right in the beginning seeing there's a lot of ties to this movie with our podcast, This is like right around our 40th-ish movie sequel. Glenn Daniels casting. There's a lot more than that. But how about, again, just the beginning, again, it's satire, but the beginning of the movie is so stupid. Mr. Wing and the TV set, the fact that they're like, here's this guy who's a mockery of Trump. Like they said it without saying it.
Well, they were saying, I heard that it was gonna be it's like a Trump / Ted Turner.
Yes, because it's the network. Yeah,
right. But even before he even walks in there, how about the fact that we had to have the typical Chinese music to show that we're in Chinatown? Like, I mean, like this movie does portray some stereotypes.
This movie's racist, you could say.
Okay, so we're not saying racist. Yes, I mean, the music alone was the typical, like if you're gonna make fun of like a Chinese person, you use the same music. This is what they used. So right off the bat, started off with that. So I want to give you one thing that I never knew. Now we know Howie Mandel is the voice of Gizmo.
Yes.
You know who the voice is of the talking one?
Yes, Tony Randall.
I did not know that. And I'm thinking like, all right, this gremlin, we'll get to him later, is like Stewie. He reminded me of Stewie from Family Guy. So I'm like, all right, this is the original Stewie. And then I'm thinking like, who is this voice? Because I looked it up. I couldn't believe it was Tony Randall.
And even after knowing it's Tony Randall, I listened to it again, and I'm like, he was doing a voice of being a gremlin. Because if it was just him talking, I would have picked it up. But I didn't pick it up. Yeah, Tony, how did you convince him to do this?
I know, it's awesome.
Why didn't they have Jack Klugman as like his sidekick? That would have been pretty good. Like one with a Mets hat and the beer belly.
Well, no, you mean not talking, just looking like the Odd Couple? You know what? That would have been great.
Oh, if they couldn't get was he still alive? I'm sure he's still alive. But no, even if he wasn't, if they couldn't get him in the movie, even if they just had a person, there,
that would have been great. That would have been funny.
Or just the music and a scene, because this movie, like you said, it has so many SNL sketches. So there's
many.
Him and Drunky Gremlin or something. Oh my god, dude! But dude, how about Mr. Clamp? So Mr. Clamp, for a lot of this movie, he's on video screens. And what year is this movie? Because the technology is way ahead of 1990.
Way ahead. Yeah, I know. And this movie takes what, 6 years after the first one?
Yeah.
But in movie time, how long does it take? Like how far forward is this movie compared
to? I don't know. They didn't really say. Well, they've been they weren't really dating in the first one. They weren't like officially dating, him and Phoebe Cates.
Okay.
And now they're getting married, sort of. So they've been dating for a while. I guess 6 years. I wouldn't wait 6 years. Kevin Kline didn't wait 6 years.
Listen, she's definitely way out of his league.
Oh,
let's be honest. All right. So I mean, but yeah, you know what? This movie was very futuristic for the time. I mean, the whole building. I mean, like, you know, from the start of the stupid. First of all, right in the beginning. I mean, we passed. Well, we passed Wing already. But you know, the turn. What was it? The turn, not the turnstile. The revolving door.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, is this an airplane movie? Like that would have been like in Naked Gun or Airplane. It was such a spoofy thing. I'm like, I don't remember this movie being spoofy like that. And like, sure enough, again, what you said before makes sense.
But the guy did deserve it because he shoved. How about how mean they showed everyone? The Russian taxi driver wouldn't let them in the cab. And then the guy like basically stiff arms Kate.
Yep.
And then he gets wheeled around. But no, we have to go back to when they go into Mr. Wing and they're like, hey, Mr. Clamp, he wants to buy this. And I guess it was a national story because we'll get to that in a second. But when they plop the TV down and he says, I want it, this bridge will help this part of town get oriented. And he looked at the camera and he like made this look. And then, dude, how about when they left the TV? He's like, you can keep it. And I love that Gizmo was flipping the channels and he's watching Rambo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously that's a little flash forwarding for later on, but you know, you said racist. I don't know if it's so racist or they're just picking on Asian because there's a few Asian jokes in this, you know, throughout. Yeah, I know, but it's not, I would say it's like multiple. I think it's mostly against Asian for some reason, you know.
You want to hear something that's mind blowing? So Stallone gave his blessing to have Rambo in the movie. Amazing.
Well, what year did Rambo come out?
First Blood 81, 82. The clips that they showed in the beginning of the movie was Rambo 3, which came out in
No, that was Rambo 2.
That was Rambo 2, so that's 80.
All right, so it was so it was past like it wasn't like it was like tie-ins, so like, you know, kind of promote his movie, but
that's cool. Well, you know why he did it, right? Him and Gizmo used to work together. Hey, Gizmo, you know, you can use Rambo in your movie.
Well, maybe he was supposed to be the voice of Gizmo.
You know what? To be honest, Howie Mandel, I actually posted on Instagram and I wrote like, oh, wouldn't it be great if Howie Mandel like stopped by to this live taping of our review? And I'm like, you can't even tell it's Howie Mandel. It's really just somebody making little sounds. And then he says a few words throughout the movie.
No, I think the talking of the other Gremlins is so much funnier.
Oh,
you know, the Gizmo caca comes in again. Like they said in the first one also, you know, it's but so, you know, you're back to Wing. So first of all, his shop is like a dungeon. Is that like, like, I don't know if does he live there?
Yeah. You know, what's funny in the first one, I don't remember it being New York City, but the dad made it seem like he was in a mystical faraway land.
Yeah.
When Kingston Falls to New York City, it's only like an hour or two.
Well, it's obviously very close because everybody from the town is in the city at the same time too.
Oh yeah.
So,
but now how about when they're like, oh, what are we gonna do? He's not gonna sell. He's like, do you hear that cough? He'll be gone in no time. And then it said 6 weeks later, it just showed a news reporter like, oh, I guess they're able to start building for Clamp News Network because Mr. Wing has passed away.
And they don't empty the shop. They just destroy it with everything in there. Like everything was still in the shop.
And Gizmo's running away like it's an Indiana Jones scene. How hard did you laugh when he was outside running?
At first, the first thing I thought of, he can't be in the sunlight.
Oh,
so how is he running around the New York City streets? Right? So that alone was like, but yes, I mean, to see it first, listen, Gizmo does dancing and running, and like he's definitely a huge personality compared to the first one. My only gripe is he's barely in the movie.
I know.
I mean, he's technically, I would think he was like the main star. I really loved him from the first movie. He took a back seat.
Well, the movie is called Gremlins and not Gizmo.
Yeah, but he is a gremlin. Like, is he like, or
he's a Mogwai.
So every is a gremlin a Mogwai? Or is like, can you? So if you're a Mogwai, are you still a gremlin? Like, or like, you got to be. It's part of you.
Is a caterpillar a butterfly?
Maybe. So you're saying once they just forget their old self?
I guess they forget when they're Gizmos, because I almost forget when they're Mogwais. I almost forgot when the drunk one. When you see him later, I'm like, oh, those eyes.
Wait, you made me think now. So once the caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it's no longer considered a caterpillar at all.
No.
But isn't there a caterpillar part of the butterfly? Like, when
like,
you
is a baby?
Yeah, but when you
am I still a baby? I was a baby.
That's a little different.
What?
Wait, you ever draw a butterfly?
Yeah, I drew a butterfly.
Okay, and what do you start off with? You start off with like a caterpillar, and then you draw the wings on the caterpillar.
Like a caterpillar, half-ass caterpillar.
All right.
But how about the fat guy, the fat nerd that catches him? He's like, oh, you have to go to the streets of New York to find things that are odd.
Yeah, my question was, what were they looking for? If he's going to New York because that's what he said, right? I wrote it down too. If you want to find something weird, you have to go downtown. Yeah. Is what he said. So what were they looking for downtown that they would consider weird?
I know. I don't.
Because they work at a lab. So what were they looking for?
Yeah, they should have found him in like a different way. Maybe if they like went in there and they were actually, instead of just bulldozing the place, was going through the crates and they found him singing. But no, that made no sense. That it was just like, again, he went into sunlight. That was
and not the you look at this, or I'd say everybody in the movie, when they see him, they don't act surprised. Like he's not normal looking. He looks like an alien. I mean, he's I've never seen no animal looks like him, and everybody's like acting like, oh wow, like nothing.
Even the dad in the first one was like, this is a Mogwai and there's some rules for it. And they're like, oh, really? This is normal for a pet not to be able to eat after midnight. And again, I love the part of the movie. I have to talk about it now because we kind of mentioned like the sunlight. The part when the scientists are making fun of the rules. I always said that, like, okay, so after midnight, they can't eat. But when can they eat? What is after midnight? Even with doctors, when they say, hey, you have surgery tomorrow, no eating after midnight. Well, that makes sense, obviously. But with this, when is after midnight end that they can eat?
It never ends. Because then once you get to the next midnight, it's the next midnight. Every minute is after midnight.
Stupid.
That is dumb.
Yeah. So then we see another past. Man, it's so cool that we've done so many movies that we have all these connections. But Haviland Morris, if you remember, she's in. Is it 16 Candles? Is that Long Duck Dong?
Long Duck Dong is in 16 Candles.
Okay, yeah. So she's in it too. Haviland Morris.
What'd she play?
Carolyn, I think.
Who'd she play in the movie?
She's the girl that Anthony Michael Hall pretends to sleep with.
Oh my, yeah.
And
you know what?
She's the mother in Home Alone 3.
Yes. Yeah, but you know what? Yes. See, she's the girlfriend in 16 Candles, or the girl yeah.
So in this movie, again, now that I know it's satire, so I'll give her a pass. Her
accent, oh,
it's not even a New York accent. Come on, Billy.
It's almost like, like Doris, what's that old timey Mae West kind of like, it was like like it's old timey, like acts like New York gangster kind of like, oh, just horrible.
She had food in her mouth or food stuck in her teeth. She was trying to get out. Always, and her name, the names in this movie, her name's Marla Bloodstone.
Well, she did have red hair.
She did.
So yeah,
she was kind of.
Although I'm still thinking, I can't believe that's the same girl, because she was blonde in 16 Candles, and she's like fiery red in this movie. So you know what? I can't believe that. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's a good one.
I can't believe it either. I can't believe her accent. Oh, Billy.
And she likes to smoke a lot.
She smokes.
I don't think there's a scene that she's not smoking.
No. Well, she's smoking when she's not smoking.
That is true.
I do love the part when she's like, Billy, you want to go to this fancy restaurant, a Canadian restaurant called Chez Montreal, I think it is.
Where they skin the fish in front of you? Is that what? Oh no, they clean the fish in front of you. That's fancy.
And I love when he's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. And then he turns back and no glasses, hair almost looking like from Roger Rabbit, Jessica Rabbit. Like her hair's covering her one eye. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, you know what then? If that's what fancy restaurants do, I'm glad I don't go.
Yeah.
Who wants to sit there and watch them wash a fish in front of you? Like, what made them think that's a good line to say, you know what? We're going to go to a fancy restaurant where they're going to clean the fish in front of us. How stupid is that?
I do like the chocolate antlers. Would you like an antler, sir?
Even that guy is a character actor.
Oh, yeah. There are so many of those people that you're like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah.
He's probably in all the Joe Dante movies, I'm sure. I couldn't believe how many people from The Burbs were in this. Yep. And some people, we'll get to it in a second. But so then how about when the guy didn't know who Billy was, even though Billy's desk is right there. And we find out later he's working on like a very important project. The guy scans the badge to find out what his name is.
Well, he also doesn't like flowers because he threw Billy's plant on the floor.
He says there's like, there could be aphids that infest the office.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, I know what aphid is from True Green days.
Pros, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, what was his job there? What was his role?
He was just Clamp's like number 2. Because remember later in the movie, he's like, okay, sir, yeah, I'll take a half day off once we get back to work.
Well, that whole part is a little bizarre. We'll get to that one. So yeah.
So how about the guy? Did you notice the guy who got caught smoking?
He was in the Burbs. He was in the Burbs.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he's in tons of movies. I mean, I know
in Biodome. He's the main scientist in Biodome.
But he had such a small. He didn't even say a word.
His role is guy that gets caught smoking. He was probably friends with Joe Dante. The Burbs is like 2 years before this, I think. So
there are so many like side characters. It's unbelievable in this movie.
So Grandpa Fred.
Or you mean like Grandpa Munster?
Exactly that. But his show was it's definitely, again, it's satire. They can do it. It was a direct ripoff of Fright Night. The same thing. Everything looked the same. The TV he was standing next to, the coffin, it was like exactly the same. And he looks like Grandpa Munster. Like
100%.
Play him in.
Well, is he still alive? I mean, he was kind of old back then.
Grandpa Munster would have been alive for that movie, but.
Do you know, fun fact about Grandpa Munster, he's a filthy comedian. Like filthy. He's a very.
He used to be on Howard, right? He used to be on Howard a lot?
He was. I actually saw him live on David Letterman. I went to David Letterman show and Grandpa Munster was the guest. He's a dirty old man.
Was he still get dressed up?
He did. He came out in a cape. I mean, you know, it must be something because this guy wears the same cape and makeup the entire movie. And this movie takes place in, I think, 2 days.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't change his makeup or clothes the whole time. So he basically is a vampire, you know, the whole time.
And he's Grandpa Munster because I don't think he probably really changed his clothes either. And I love how depressed he is. And he's like, I thought I'd be doing the news one day. And then he provides exposition about the whole movie. He goes, yeah, who do they think they are? They're doing some weird research up on 16th floor. They have a patent for gerbils. And I love that the lab's called Splice of Life. And how about the people in this scene? It's Julia Sweeney from SNL.
Yep.
He plays the secretary. And Christopher Lee plays Dr. Catheter.
That's, I mean, the fact that Christopher Lee's in this, I mean, he's a big time actor. I mean, I can't believe he took this role. I mean, I guess, again, maybe just they're all having fun with it. But back to Julie Sweeney, should she be working? I mean, the fact that the way she's sneezing, I mean, I know this is pre-COVID, but she looks sick as hell. Like, why is she still working?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if you notice what he said when the delivery guy brought up the subject, he goes, is this my malaria? So maybe she's getting tested on. But no, she should get a day, go home, chicken noodle soup, something. But Christopher Lee, funny thing about him. So he was in Howling 2, My Sister's a Werewolf. Joe Dante directed the first one. He felt so bad about how bad Howling 2 came out that he apologized to Joe Dante. Even though Joe Dante didn't direct it, he just did the first one. He like apologized for
that's
the
awesome
second movie.
That's awesome. Has he ever played Dracula? Because I think he would play.
Oh yeah.
Christopher Lee.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. See, I didn't know. I mean, I know he's in Lord of the Rings and all that. And he's in.
He's a big time
Star Wars.
old school.
I just thought he would. He is, but he is okay. Because I mean, he sounds like Dracula when he talks.
He kind of looks like him.
Ouch.
That's not an insult. Dracula can be attractive. He has a widow's peak, but
Widow's peak, pale skin, and like buck teeth, or like fangs. I mean,
dude, in high school, if I was pale with fangs, goth girls would have loved me.
That is true.
So how
the goth community is big on that.
So how about Gizmo and the two twins?
No, the clones.
They're
clones.
I didn't even notice that. They said that? I didn't even know that.
They said, well, they said mentioned something about cloning experiment, and then the other twin walked in right afterwards. It's, again, such an airplane move. Yeah. Like, they were talking, and they were clones. I believe that's what they're trying to aim for. Yeah.
They're like, look at Dr. Catheter, look at what he does when we do this. And they play the music, and it's like,
well, now we see where the budget went, because I don't think we've ever seen Gizmo really move by himself like that. I mean, it was so ridiculous. I mean, I feel like a lot of this movie, and again, I know it's parody or whatever, but a lot of it seemed forced. Like that was just a forced scene just to see Gizmo move around. Like there was no purpose for that. It was so stupid.
And the fact that those guys just really had to dance to nothing, because I don't think Gizmo was dancing there, because it didn't look like puppeteering. It looked like they almost like superimposed him on the table.
Yep.
And I love Gizmo was smart. He is really smart, obviously. He does the dancing to try to like woo them into like get into a daze, and then he tries to run away. And Christopher, again, this is a horror comedy now, but he grabs him and he's like, I can't wait to cut into you.
Well, I mean, is Gizmo really that smart though? I mean, he's caused disaster obviously twice. I'm sure it's not the only 2 times he's done this.
Well, he didn't want to go there. He didn't want to go into Billy's
Yeah, but he
house.
also doesn't. He doesn't listen. Also, I mean,
I know he doesn't.
Just listen to Billy and stayed in the drawer. None of this would have happened.
Yeah, he waited before Billy wasn't even gone yet. He was already out.
Within seconds, and Billy said, "Listen, just stay here. I'll be right back." Within seconds, he's already escaping. Yeah. And I mean, can we talk about his relationship with Billy? Does Gizmo understand anything? Like, is it like talking to a dog? I feel like Billy talks to him, but Gizmo has no clue what he's saying.
No, that's true. But somehow Billy understands Gizmo because he's like,
later on,
he wants to listen to TV. He wants to watch some TV when he gets home.
So Billy understands Gizmo's language, but Gizmo does not understand Billy.
It's a one-way relationship.
Or Gizmo is a villain, and he's causing all this because he wants. Listen, imagine being the only Mogwai or Gremlin. He's alone. So the only way he's going to get people of his kind or creatures of his kind is to, get wet and, expand.
That would be funny if they do a Gremlins 3 and it's that. He's like, I just want some friends. And he just jumps into a pool.
I think, again, you know what? He may be the villain in both movies. I'm just putting it out there.
So I talked about technology before. How about the fact that they're on a video chat in 1990 and then it's going out? And then how about the fact that, again, I don't know, was Ted Turner or Donald Trump like this, that they made the electricity shut off on his desk because he wasn't moving? She's like, oh, it's motion activated. And he's like, to get it to turn back on again. Did that mean that? I don't know.
Well, he was excited that he thought that Billy's drawer opened up on its own when it needed, and I think they were just trying to really show how rich this guy is by having all these crazy things. Because I mean, they're so unrealistic, And again, it was so far ahead of its time. I think they're just showing you how massive amount of money this guy makes.
But how out of touch is he that he didn't notice his whole place is doing research on drawers that open up when you might need something?
Yeah, he's kind of clueless throughout the whole movie. So he's how he's able to run a company like this. It's definitely his father's company, and it was passed down to him because he looks like he has no clue how to do the job.
Yeah, that guy plays a really good dick in a lot of movies. I can't think of the other ones.
I think he was in Smallville. Wasn't that the guy in Smallville? He played Lex Luthor's father. I think so.
No, he's good. He played Mr. Luthor.
Well, that would be Lex Luthor's father.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they called him Mr. I think they called him Lionel.
Well, I know. So we find out later, you mentioned the cloning that they did in the labs. How about some of the other stuff that made no sense when they put the light bulbs to the rats and then the light bulb lights up and they're like really excited about it?
Well, he said New York has a rat problem. And let's get back to New York for a second. They made New York look so filthy. I mean,
what
like,
was that?
I don't know if it was that. Listen, I lived in New York. I don't know if it was that filthy.
You lived in Manhattan?
No, but I went to Manhattan. I worked in Manhattan in the 90s. I did work in Manhattan in the 90s, late 90s.
Okay, well, it was cleaned up already.
Okay, I don't know if New York was ever that filthy. I mean,
Jason Voorhees was walking around Manhattan for 5 minutes late in 1989.
And you know what? It looked cleaner then than it did in this movie.
But there wasn't raw sewage and like garbage cans everywhere.
That is true.
No, I know. They made it so trashy. Everybody's dicks, except around that building. Around that building was pristine.
Wait, they made everybody's dicks trashy?
No, everybody in the movie's dicks.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, the way you said it, you said everybody's you said they made everything's trashy's dicks, or everybody's dick was trashy or something. All right. You know, listen, that high, they had, obviously their labs are so high tech. I mean, the experiments they were doing, there was absolutely no security there whatsoever.
No, I know. And what were they really working on? The things that they worked on, again, so stupid.
Stupid, like not needed. And the fact that later on we see a camel and another, was a camel and something else running down, a giraffe, I think, or something running down the hallway. Yeah. Like, what are they doing? What kind of experiments are they doing?
There's a kangaroo too. They cut that scene. They showed they showed the Gremlins actually release everything, but they cut it for some reason. But
because having a kangaroo would be so over the top. But everything else is fine. But you know what? Kangaroo, forget about it. No one's gonna watch the movie.
We gotta cut this. No crank. Maybe the kangaroo. Maybe he just didn't want it. He wanted too much money.
Or maybe he would be embarrassed to be in this movie.
Maybe he was.
Or maybe he was too busy filming Crocodile Dundee, and he's like, "Listen, I have better movies to go through. I'm not doing this movie."
So the way Billy, the fact that Gizmo happens to go where Billy works, and Billy finds out because he remembers the song from 6 years ago that he heard again, I know it was a traumatizing experience, but he only had Gizmo for like 48 hours tops. And he hears the delivery guy whistling. Then he goes, "Oh, what song is that you're whistling?" He goes, "Oh, I don't know, the new Sting song."
That guy is also
stuff.
You ever see Breaking Bad or no?
Oh yeah.
Tuco.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's a big '90s guy too.
Yeah,
He's in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then Billy has to go up there to find Gizmo.
Yeah.
Matt, they're back together again.
I see. I don't remember how Gremlins 1 ended. How did the old man get Gizmo again? They just dropped it off?
I think the dad brought it back.
Okay.
He was like, "We can't handle this." And wouldn't the news have gotten it? What? How did nobody know about that? Because they're basically saying that Murray was a nut job. Wouldn't everybody just corroborate him and be like, "No, this is a really thing. This happened."
Didn't he die in the first one? I thought him and his wife died.
Okay, I know. He definitely died because the plow truck went through their living room. We didn't see them die, but they screamed and it was like a zoom in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that made no sense that he was in this because I'm like, he's dead.
Well, no, not even no sense. He's that close to Billy that they're gonna spend time. He's gonna stay at his apartment.
Well, they were neighbors. They were buddies.
I mean, it's a big age difference to hang out with him in the city. Like I thought that was a little like, because even in the first movie, they were neighbors, but they didn't seem like that close.
Maybe they grew close after the Gremlin attack of '84. Why are you saying old people? You can't have old people stay at your house?
No, you can, but their relationship just didn't seem that close in the first movie. I don't know.
You're staying at my house. We better have a real relationship.
And
no acquaintances.
Tell me he's not. He could play Harvey Keitel's brother.
Oh, yeah.
He looks just like Harvey Keitel.
Maybe at that point, Harvey Keitel's dad. Late 80s. So then I love when Billy goes up there. He grabs Gizmo real quick, steals him. And I love when he goes into that bathroom. And then that's the voice of Neil Ross, last week's guest, says, and hey, don't forget to wash your hands. So this scene's actually longer. It's based on like a real story of Joe Dante when he was at, I don't know, let's say Warner Brothers. And he went into somebody's private bathroom in an accident, like a guy who's like the president. And the guy walked in, he said, well, what are you doing here? And Billy did in the deleted scene, his hands were dripping. He was so nervous. His hands were dripping on the guy's dress shoes. But they cut that part.
Again, that would be so over the top. That would be over the top. And the fact that he goes in there to secretly take out Gizmo, he looks under the stalls. He wasn't afraid of someone walking in to go to the bathroom.
No. He didn't even lock the door. Nothing.
He didn't lock the door. He wasn't even worried. He's actually taking out Gizmo and just like hanging out with him for a little bit. Yeah. Like no sense at all. But dripping water on the guy's shoe, we got to cut that part out.
Yeah, cut that part. And this is kind of like we were talking about before. Gizmo's hiding in the drawer. It makes the drawer open. Mr. Clamp is like, hey, what's going on with this drawer? What happened here? And he's like, oh, it automatically opens up when you think something's going to be there. But then he loves Billy's drawing. So then he's on his side. Which
everybody else did not like, right? His number 2 did not like. And the redhead really didn't like it, right? The
redhead said, you know what, Billy, you got to add more, you got to add some bushes here, Billy. Emeralds. And then the fact that afterwards she's like, Billy, you're a genius. I knew you had it in you. We're going to go right to the top. And she's like, how about we go out to dinner tonight and talk about this some more? And the fact that he was like so dumb that he was like, yeah, this makes sense. He goes to Phoebe Cates, to Kate. Dude, her name's Kate and her last name's Phoebe.
And he doesn't explain where he's going, what's going on. He just says, I can't go out with you tonight. You got to take Gizmo. And he leaves. Like there was like, it was such a, I mean, he made sure she knew the rules and then left. Like he did not explain him. Yes, he was extremely naive the whole time.
I'm going to go out with this firecracker redhead. You got to pick up Gizmo. You know, that thing that turned into all those gremlins.
The most dangerous thing in the world right now. You're going to take care of it, you know?
And she hates it. So he's like, oh, don't worry about it. This is fine. But it almost made it seem like they don't live together. The way he was like, we can't hang out. I can't meet you for dinner tonight. That's what you say to somebody that you don't live with.
Right.
Or have a relationship with. That's like a buddy, not like your girlfriend and almost wife. Yeah, that made no sense.
Throughout this movie, he's so lucky that she stayed with him. Oh. I mean, again, she's so out of his league, but he's such an idiot throughout this whole movie. Like, and it treats her kind of crappy. Like, you know, like it doesn't, that he's really lucky.
Oh, so he's probably, you know,
what?
Hung like a horse. He's got to be. He's got to be. But so the fact that, so this is where, again, Gizmo, he listens to Billy for about like 1.2 seconds because he already makes a paperclip ladder to go down really fast. And then the fact that, how does Billy remembers the song from 6 years ago. Kate doesn't remember what he looks like, because we're not talking they look sort of the same, but after,
well, from the back they do.
that's true.
But I mean, but he understood Billy to like go into the drawer because he slowly went down, but he didn't understand Billy when he said stay here.
I know.
You know, but yes, how does he looks? I mean, I don't know. I want to use the right words of how to describe this gremlin.
He looks dumb.
He looks dumb. He just looks like
he got kicked by a horse
a few times.
Yeah,
he definitely had a below IQ, I guess you could say, you know, attitude.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But the fact that the way they become it, John Astin, who completely improv this whole scene as the janitor,
so stupid.
Mind blowing that he's here, and the water fountain's not working. I love that it's like squirting in the air, and Gizmo does like the little do step to the left, step to the right, and then he's like, "Let me go over here," and then the water squirts, goes down Billy's drawing board like a gutter.
Oh, the stream got bigger and bigger. I mean, he's a janitor. I don't think he knows what he's doing because he's trying to fix it by banging on it with a wrench. I think he had a wrench. He like slapping the side of it and then he punched the side of it. Like he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah,
And
wouldn't
then
it have been smart to like cut off the water?
you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd make sense. Cut the water off and then so stupid.
But
And I love that the gremlins are like such bullies. They're like, Gizmo, get the hell out of here. Even though they would almost the smart thing that the smart play for them would to almost be like to tie him up or put him in like a cage. And then every time they want more, they can just like squirt him.
well, they don't need him anymore because they can multiply themselves.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, I do question why they keep him around, or they just like bullying him, or how do they even remember him? Like, they treat him the same way.
Oh, how do they know him?
They don't. They shouldn't know him. Because
They just came to life.
they just came to life. It is a different stripe compared to the first one. The first one had a gray mohawk. This one is a little darker in the face. Like it's not the same one. So like they're completely different gremlins. So why would they remember? Like again, Gizmo, Kaka. Stripe said that in the first movie. Why is this Stripe saying like they should not know each other unless they're reincarnated every time?
No, that doesn't make sense. But I love that they throw him into the air duct. You know what I really thought was coming? A Die Hard reference. I don't know why. Not like he could have mumbled it or something like.
So that would have been good. That would have been funny.
Now I know what a microwave dinner feels like.
Well, you know what? In the beginning of the movie, they should have had Gizmo watching a few like clips of movies. Like the one time you see him watching Rambo, then maybe another time seeing Die Hard, and another time seeing maybe Lethal Weapon or something like that. And then he uses all three at some point. So that part could have been a Die Hard reference.
Oh yeah. Well, if you notice, there's a lot of everything Warner Brothers is used in this movie. Like every single thing that happens, it's there. So I love when Kate's getting into the elevator to go get Drunky Gremlin, and one of the voiceover. There's a lot of funny ones, but the one that I wrote down, it says, "To the person that has the old Ford in the lot, it's old and dirty."
Again, that would be an airplane like line,
Yeah.
So we briefly went over. I know we mentioned him, Long Duck Dong, in here.
Yeah.
How about the fact that he's taken 1 million pictures?
Well, another stereotype. Yes,
Ridiculous. Like I wrote that down. I forgot that I didn't mention that, but like how, like, again, another Asian stereotype. Like I wonder why it's always on that side in this movie.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea.
All right.
So this place is so big. Like it's insane what is in this building because there's a mall in there. There's a Spencer Gifts and there's a food court because all these people are the gremlins are just like in the like looking around. The one part they're just like underneath a table where people are eating.
Well, it looks like
in this movie.
It looks like an ice cream club.
Oh, I know that part.
Ice cream shop club. That's what it looked like. I think that's where they were when they were looking, because that's where they ended up in the ice cream. So I think, first of all, it got a little perverted. Like they were looking at the girls' legs. Like I thought it was going to be, I don't know what was going to go on with that. But yeah, I mean, it were playing like music, like loud music. It was like a club, but it was an ice cream shop.
And again, confusing. It's somehow after midnight right now. That makes no sense. So they're out to dinner at this fancy thing at Chez Montreal, and it's busy, and people are just eating dinner. People don't do that after midnight. And at the mall, it's packed. There's a bunch of moms waiting for ice cream. And I'm like, wait, it doesn't matter if you're eating now. But then we see how it changes. Like, I'm like, how's it after midnight? It makes no sense.
Would it be that packed after midnight?
No, not at all. I love one of my favorite lines in this movie that, again, satire or not, it's really funny, is when Billy and Marla are at the Canadian restaurant. She asked Billy about like when he started drawing, and he's like, ever since I was young, with crayons, just start drawing. She goes, oh my God, I had crayons too.
Was this before or after she put her foot between his legs?
Oh, the foot between the legs was just when the chocolate the moose antlers came.
Because if anyone knows if he's hung like a horse, she does.
She would know.
You would know.
She would know.
And even at that point, he's still naive.
Now, you think as an actor how does that scene work? Does he have a girlfriend that they use her foot for that scene? Or is that...
Why would he have a girlfriend to do that? I don't understand.
I don't know. It'd just be weird.
Why?
It'd be awkward. Okay, everybody, we're doing the scene. She's gonna put her foot on Billy's penis. And,
Wait a second. Wait, so
rolling.
that's awkward. But when they do like sex scenes, that's not awkward. But a foot
no,
on
when
the
they do those scenes, there's only like two people, like the director and lighting.
How do you know? That's probably the grip guy, the fluffer.
So there's not a lot of people. I heard from Troy Evans when they did the scene for Steven Seagal, and Steven was like, oh, I'm going to invite all my buddies without telling anybody. Yeah. Creepy. Yeah. They don't have a lot of people. I just think that kind of scene would be, I don't know, weird to have. Maybe they have a stunt crotch. Hi, my name is Frank Vogelman. I'm Hollywood.
Well, you don't see his upper body, so it's possible. Maybe it's like dummy legs. You know? Or just maybe it was probably like the director. Because, you know, a lot of crazy things went on back then. He's like, I'll sit in for this role. You know, don't worry, this scene.
I'll do this one. So back in the apartment, while he's getting his, getting a foot job under the table, you have Phoebe Cates, and she has to know now that this is not Gizmo. Because Gizmo, I guess she saw Gizmo when he was still normal. Yeah. Before he Well,
it was normal the whole movie.
No, I know, but I'm saying like before shit hit the fan, so maybe she didn't notice that he was like kind of tame. This one's knocking over everything, throwing food at her.
This one is one of my favorite. I mean, there's a lot of gremlins in this one, but he is definitely one of my favorites.
Oh, okay.
I did like him.
I do love when Billy gets home and he's just like, oh, Gizmo, what's gotten into you?
Yeah. No, but then he knew in 2 seconds, the minute he looked at his face.
Oh. Well, he should know. She should know.
Yeah.
The eyes are like totally different.
But I mean, listen, in her defense, she wanted nothing to do with this. She had a major fear from them in the first movie. So, like, I don't think she's really studying him too much. I think she's just like, you know.
And how did she not clock Billy right away when he had the lipstick on his?
And how did Billy not see that? I mean, he drove
that.
He drove home. Or however he got home. You're gonna tell me he didn't walk by any, like, you don't see that? Come on.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely no sense. And then the Fettermans show up early.
Again, I do question that. It just seemed weird. Their relationship was not that close for them to bring 4 suitcases. Like they're not staying overnight. Okay, they're staying there for a week.
We're moving in. House is getting fumigated. I love that he's like, hey, your mom. I love when they had to throw in like the mom and dad. Your dad's doing this invention, you know?
Something with toilet paper. Wasn't that something with toilet paper? Reusable toilet paper or something like that?
Yes. And your mom baked this apple pie. Somebody sat it on the bus.
How would that work though? Reusable toilet paper. Like, would you want to test it out?
Oh, I guess you just, I don't know. I guess you wash it.
Flip it over.
like the tie. I guess. I don't know. I have no idea. So they have to head back like right away because like they know, oh my God, we have to get the right gremlin, the right Gizmo. So how about when they're at the food court, you kind of mentioned with like the ice cream bar. Do you remember the nerdy kid that worked there? And he was like, the lady's like, is your peanut butter cups? I forgot what she said. She said something, but his thing goes, yeah, the peanut butter cups are pesticide free. And I'm like, what the heck? What's happening? And then we see all the gremlins, and one cool thing.
Well, he yelled rat, I think, or there was a rat.
Yeah. So one cool thing about this movie, another connection to our sequels, Chris Wallace worked on the first one, special effects. He was asked back for this one. He declined, and he chose to direct Fly 2. So Rick Baker did this one. Rick Baker does this one. What does that mean? Tim Lawrence comes in. Tim Lawrence was the lead puppeteer on Brainy Gremlin.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a small world. See, 6 degrees of, or what is it, 7 degrees of
6
sequels
degrees
only.
of Kevin Bacon. So we have to think of like 6 degrees of sequels only. Something.
Yeah. There we go.
Trademark. So the security guard, which again, I don't think his name's, I think he was uncredited because I didn't see him on IMDb.
But you've seen him in a bunch of things.
Oh, I know.
He's another one.
In The Burbs. He's in
Yep.
movie. Like, yeah, a ton of stuff.
He was great in The Burbs.
Oh yeah. And he's in Ghostbusters. He plays the guy that shuts off the electricity and all the, yeah.
Yep.
He's awesome. So he plays the security guard that catches Billy because Billy's like, we got to shut the water off because they're going to try to multiply. And to the drunk, what gremlin was it? Oh,
no, it was the one in the back. Yeah, crazy one.
Bites him on the nose.
He bites him on the nose, and then, first of all, Billy explained pretty much what's going on or what's going to go
exposition, on. Yeah.
Right. And then the gremlin jumps out, bites him on the nose, and then runs away. And then the guy wants to bring him in to the police. Didn't what he just tell you show proof right there that there is monsters? Like he totally ignored that.
And I love that he went to the police, and when Kate picked him up, I love the paddy wagon full of mimes.
What do you think they did wrong? And it wasn't just one mime; it was like a mime gang. There was like 5 of them.
Do you think they like held up a bank?
Well, the fact that they were walking out doing mime.
Yes.
Like they weren't even walking out normal. They were like walking out using a rope, like invisible rope.
Do you think their defense attorney like came up to the stand? They're like, hey, you know what? This group mimes, they were just miming their own business.
Well, how do you think the questioning goes in when they get up there and the lawyers question them and they ask them questions? Wait, that's your mime impression?
I'm stuck in a box.
Yeesh.
All right, that's why I didn't get into mime school. Way to rip that wound off. So then there's a scene right here. I wrote it in. I missed it. Well, I saw it. I didn't write it down. And then I tried to go back to watch it again. When is the scene that Dick Butkus and Bubba Smith are in?
I didn't see Bubba Smith.
Okay, so this scene, I'm not kidding. I saw it. It is only 3 seconds long, and in the deleted scenes, they didn't have the full scene. But it's like Dick Butkus is at a buffet, and he's like getting food.
And the gremlin comes out and grabs him.
Yeah, but you wouldn't even know it's them because it's so short. And Bubba Smith's barely behind him. You see his head, and I'm like, why would you have these 2 Hall of Famers? And Bubba Smith at this time, Dick Butkus was like starting to do the acting end of it. But you have Bubba Smith, Police Academy movies, amazing. And you just show his head in the background.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I remember the scene. I totally did not know it was them. I mean, again, like you said, it went too fast. But yeah, that doesn't make sense at all. Like, especially Bubba Smith. I mean, he stands out so much. You couldn't use him.
The best. The absolute best. So then we see Gizmo, and he's falling out of the air duct. He gets out, and he falls right onto where all the gremlins are like appearing out of the.
Well, first of all, is that air duct? Do they have like that? Look like the Star Wars like chute of like the way he was falling. Like, do they really have that air ducts that that long and that like?
I don't think so. Why would you? Then you'd be trying to force the air. Yeah.
Yeah, like what was I didn't understand what that was. He was falling down.
Yeah, and the fact that the gremlins, I don't remember if it was like that in the first one, but it looked like the thing right out of Aliens. It was just like Aliens.
But it also looked like the gremlins reproduced a lot quicker in this movie. And I guess they didn't have time to go through the process again, because even when they after Gizmo got wet, the balls are bouncing all over the place. I don't remember that happening. Like, I know they flew off him, but here you hear ping, ping, like they're all over the place. And then they quickly turn into gremlins. Even when they got wet as gremlins, the cocoons did not last long.
No, you're right. It was super quick. And then Gizmo trying to get away, and then he gets like snatched by one like right away. Yeah. And you're right. If you really think about it, screen time wise, especially the most popular character that people like get tattoos. There was like a gremlin cereal of Gizmo that came out at this time. And like lunchboxes and stuff. It's all Gizmo, and he's barely in the movie.
I know, barely in it. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. But so this is the next part is when we see the tour. So Kate has to go back to work. Billy is trying to figure everything out. So again, all this is going on, and Kate's like, the most important thing right now is to just go back to my tour job with the dumb hat that has the building on it.
It's so stupid. So stupid.
But we see Long Duck Dong from 16 Candles we're taking all the pictures and
with the cat. Now this is 1990. The camera looked like it was from like the 1800s. Yeah. You know, like it looks like he's going to take a photo at a saloon.
But I did love this. Is again this is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie is when the security team, when Billy's trying to tell him everything, and we see the beginning of the conversation, and then they cut away, And then when we go back, they're like, okay, so what you're saying is you need out of the midnight. And the guy's like, well, when's midnight end? And he's like, oh, wait, so you can't get them wet or can you get them wet? And then the one flies right through. Was it waiting inside the computer?
I guess so.
And no blood. This movie never has any blood.
I was going to say, in the first one, the movie was kind of gross. Like there was a lot of gross scenes, the blender scene and all that.
Yeah.
Like this really wasn't, first of all, it wasn't scary at all. And yeah, it was like very tame with the I don't even know if there's any deaths.
Well, Gremlins died. That's it.
Well, yeah, a lot of Gremlins died, but like
I think people died, but you didn't really know.
Yeah, it was just like, again, I think they were going more the comedy route than like scary because it really wasn't bloody at all, and it could have been.
There was green blood. We saw the gremlin blood.
The shredding machine was probably the grossest scene.
I did like that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know too many shredding machines that would be that massive like that. Like, I mean, that's.
And then Billy saves the day with the light. So that's what's funny about them. Again, that makes no sense with the rules. So as a Mogwai, light, make gremlins. Then you're a gremlin, then light hurts you.
Well, again, Gizmo was running around New York City in the sunlight.
No.
So I think honestly, at this point, they threw away most of the rules. They're like, listen, we need to get as many gremlins as we can out there. So many different personalities. I don't think people are going to notice. They're not going to notice these small little details that the rules are not working for them.
Wasn't there a point in this movie where you're like, holy shit, how many puppeteers do they have? Because there's a scene, I looked all around because they kept cutting back and all the gremlins were like moving in this way. I'm like,
and they're all doing something different.
Yeah.
And they're all different, they all look different. They're all it's, as bad as I think the movie is, the use of the budget they did or whatever they did was very creative. I mean, they really tried to get as many personalities in these gremlins as possible. So
definitely a lot of personalities in those. But I did like when they how about the cooking show? Who watches? Like, is this lady having a good time slot? Well, it's in the morning now, so she has a pretty good time slot. She has like the Rachel Ray of time slots on the Clamp cable network.
She has absolutely no personality. She looks like Throw Mama from the Train. She looked like and that was the biggest pot I've ever seen. That pot was massive. Like, she's not a cooking show. You don't need a big pot. You're not feeding the audience. You're just making something for yourself. And the thing she was making, I wrote it down to one thing she wrote down. She goes, the bologna and bean dip roll up, or something like that. She made bologna and bean dip roll up. That was one of the things she was making.
That's like hobo food. No, but so again, it's a movie, but how does a gremlin get into that pot? She must have been cooking in there for a little bit, I guess, and in the cabinets. And I love when somehow the eggs, perfect eggs, non-dripping, sunny side up eggs get thrown onto her face. How?
And the pot, the stove is on. So the gremlins is in, first of all, the gremlin's in water. So how is the gremlin not multiplying in there?
Oh my God. Yes. That's so true. There should have been like, when she opened it up, it should have been like gremlin soup with little ones, Italian wedding soup.
So, you know what? So now, is it just water or any liquid?
Ooh, maybe if it's like broth, maybe.
So broth is okay. So, but isn't there water in broth?
There is, but not enough.
So if the water is diluted with others or just mixed with other stuff, then it's okay. But it's straight water. That's deadly.
You know what, dude? That would have been a really funny part to the movie if they did a bit like that. Like the guy throws coffee on the gremlin and he's like, oh, it's okay. You can throw coffee on a gremlin. But no, that makes, the rules. The rules make no sense. A really cool scene was, again, what gremlin was that? Was that brainy gremlin that was bullying Gizmo?
No, that's Stripe.
It was, okay.
Yeah. So, because he bullied, he's the one that bullied him in the first movie.
No, also. I know, but I was trying to think of
No, it was Stripe. And he not only bullies him this one, he tortures him.
Oh, dude.
The Velcro scene?
Yeah.
he's like pulling tape off a hairy arm. He's putting Velcro and pulling it off him. Like
it was like 4-year-old virgin.
It was.
But I did like I thought cool shot wise was the copy machine. When you see just the copies coming out and it's Gizmo's face all like smudged onto the thing. But no, those scenes are really cool. And I don't the Gizmo part of this movie, because obviously we're fans of Rambo. I loved it. I loved every time you saw him.
Right. No, I agree.
Not enough.
See, now is this movie geared for children or adults? Because I feel like it's a very like silly. Like it's like I don't know. Like again, the first one I think people were scared of. Kids were scared of. Like they had warnings.
Yeah.
Like it's a scary movie for kids. Like this one, like is so silly and over the top. Like what was the audience they're trying to get?
Definitely adults and maybe like adults that hate their kids. They showed him this just over the top because again, like we said, there's no blood in this movie, but like the next scene. So Clamp again has no idea what's going on in this building. And he's so excited to his secretary about shredding. Did you shred my mail yet? And he's like so excited. He's like a big kid. I really thought he was going to start pulling out toys like in Spaceballs. I'm not even kidding. It looked like he was going to do that.
Well, he kind of has like a child mentality when he talks, and he gets excited about little things. Like like he seems so clueless. That's why I said like how does he run this massive company? Like he's the big guy, and everybody's so like when he walks by, oh he's here. Like how does he run? He seems like an airhead. Like he seems
even
like
the number 2 guy is just a dick.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem smart, so it's not like he's running it. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know who it could be.
But I mean, of course he's excited about the cop machine. Look at that thing. That thing can like crush anything.
That's dangerous. But I love the secretary is doing it, and then we just see the gremlin hand come up to grab her sandwich, and then she grabs it. And then when he comes in, she's gone, and the gremlin's wearing her shawl. So what happened to her?
I said the same thing. I go, where did she go? and the gremlin is like on the phone pretending like it was. See, there were like little things like that, like like little sly jokes in there. I thought were very funny. Like the gremlin was pretending to be a secretary.
What if it lasted for a second? Because that guy Clamp's like so clueless, and he's like, "Hey, you've been doing new skin products," and then he does like a double take, and then do you want coffee? Oh yeah, and he actually said this gremlin talks too. It says one coffee.
Well, all the gremlins could say like a word or two. Again, they say Gizmo or something like so they can speak a little bit. But yeah, this gremlin.
But this is the first one because later on we have a gremlin that can like say everything and like smart. But I think this is one of the first ones to talk in this movie or no?
No, again, Stripes remember said Gizmo doo-doo before. Yeah, right. So like they could say they I think they've all said something here and there. Some of them said but again, it's like one word, like it's like Tarzan talk. It's like one word, like that.
One coffee. And I love the gremlin getting shredded. I thought that looked so cool. It looked like Jello blood.
That was the grossest scene in the movie, I think. If you want to say gross, I mean, it really wasn't gross, but if you want to say that's probably the grossest scene.
Yeah. And we talked about before how many gremlins are in this movie. So when Kate is in the elevator and getting attacked from all sides, like they're punching into the walls and like grabbing her. She bites one of the hands, green blood on her face.
See, I think that scene could have been the scariest one if they did, because that was, I think that was a well done scene, especially when they show the elevator and you see how many gremlins are on top of it.
Yes.
Like I didn't realize how many. I thought it was only like maybe 3 that were punching in there, but she was surrounded. Like, yeah.
And then they all squished. They all and she was just like laying in there sideways.
That elevator was going like 80 miles an hour.
I know.
And she just gets up and walks away.
She was fine.
I mean, the whole thing was destroyed. Like it was like hanging off the thing. They're all dead, but she just happened to get up and not a bruise on her.
Yeah, nothing at all. So then the next part's really funny with Leonard Maltin.
At this point is when I was like, all right. Now I'm getting spoofy. Like up until this point, you don't get the idea that it is spoofy, but I did. I'm like, all right, what are they really aiming for here? Because this totally changed the format of movies. It's like it was almost like Kentucky Fried Movie or Hollywood Shuffle, like that. Like it was pretty funny.
And the thing that's even funnier about it was Leonard Maltin hated the first movie. His review of it said, "I'd rather get a 2-hour root canal than watch this again." So it's kind of funny that they convinced him to be in this movie because they're like, "Hey, we're gonna make fun of it."
Sure.
But so this is the dumbest. I'm gonna say this is the dumbest part of the movie. The fact that the scientists are really excited about tomatoes that bounce. And they're like, "Oh, that's great." And he's like, 7 chefs have already ordered it. And they're like so happy.
Well, do you know why they're excited for it?
Why?
To protect them when they're shipping it. They said so it wasn't a matter of it bouncing. It was they go, "This is why we made the tomatoes so look, the experiment to make them tougher to make it so they don't get destroyed when we're shipping them."
So maybe I'm the dumb one. These guys are doing some really good things, I guess.
But yeah, it was for shipping purpose. And then of course they also bounce like flubber. So,
and the fact that one of them drank it and immediately started growing tomatoes on its face.
This was the beginning of all hell breaking loose.
Vegetable gremlin.
I wonder how that meeting of the writers are like, "All right, we're going to make a movie with a bunch of different gremlins. So give me some ideas. All right, we'll have a loony one with his eyes going all over the place. Great. That's funny. You know what? Let's get one that, he just has buck teeth and all right, great. Perfect. Let's get one that grows tomatoes and peppers on him."
Yeah.
That guy probably got fired. And then they're like, "You know what? He's actually got a point there."
That's all we have left.
So stupid.
There's a sketch of Key and Peele that does this.
I saw it.
Oh,
it's so funny.
That's what I imagine.
Yeah. 100%.
What do you think? Let's do that.
I mean, seriously, if you could come up with, I could come up with probably 100 different types of gremlins. I don't think I would, out of my 100, I don't think one that growing tomatoes and peppers on your face would be one of them.
There's a deleted scene of him mainlining ranch dressing from tubes.
I mean, so stupid.
So dumb. So then the gremlin drinks. Oh, and again, they do exposition just before this because Dr. Catheter says he mentions the vial of the talking, just says it really quick.
Yep.
And then obviously Brainy.
Well, they had to explain what each one was. Yeah. No, he goes, "I hope that wasn't the Brainiac."
Yes. Yeah.
Something like that. So they had to explain what each one was, or one had a spider on it. One had so they had to explain which one. But yeah, this was to me, I remember when I watched this movie the first time, this is when I was like, "All right, this movie is dumb." now we have a talking gremlin, and watching it again, I'm like, again, the first thing I thought of was Stewie. Like he sounded like a Stewie type,
And the fact that did it come with glasses?
So you see him like choking on the drink, and he goes down to the ground and like, "All right, what's gonna happen?" And he comes up with smart glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. How did that happen? Well, somehow he changes clothes also throughout the movie. He's wearing a sweater and a suit or something.
There's a lot of outfit changes in this movie. Is there like a seamstress here that is not scared of gremlins?
Well, maybe there's a seamstress gremlin.
Maybe.
Listen, if they have a gremlin with tomatoes and peppers on the face, I'm sure they can have a seamstress gremlin.
I hope so. I really hope so. So then there's the gremlin that starts flying everywhere. And then the one that was like a big FU to like the person watching the movie, they have one that has the sunblock gene. It had a picture of a sun with a line through it.
Oh, that was the flying one.
No, there was a flying one before that, and then Brainy went to the flying one and did that so he could fly outside.
Right. Okay.
Once you become, I guess once you become that stage of gremlin, sun kills you. Makes no sense. So Mogwai, sun helps you, gremlin bad.
Yeah, but I don't see again. But the rule was keep away from sunlight about Gizmo.
Yeah. So that's good for the gremlins because they become gremlins because gremlins form. But once they're gremlins, sunlight kills them.
But what does sunlight do to Gizmo?
It makes gremlins.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It only makes gremlins. No.
It makes mogwais that turn into gremlins.
What?
Yeah.
Sunlight makes another mogwai.
Yeah.
Where do you hear that?
In the first movie when they take the picture of him.
They said sunlight makes other ones.
Yeah.
So I don't know. about that.
Sunlight, water, and after midnight.
Yeah, I know those 3 rules, but sunlight kills them.
Sunlight kills them when they're gremlins.
I've never heard that sunlight makes another Mogwai.
Yes, that happens in the first movie. He takes a picture of him and it pops off his back.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at that one.
They mention it in this movie.
I'm gonna have to look at it. I've never heard that before.
But that's why they had the sunblock one, because when they're gremlins, it kills them. But dude, when he flies out the window and they put the Batman logo.
And listen, they made it like this is like the most evil gremlin. Like they made it like that was a monster.
Oh, I know.
Like it could have been definitely cooler. Again, if they wanted this a horror movie, that could have been so much better. But first of all, the claymation was ridiculous of that one flying away.
For that time, it was like, but I know, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. But it was so short-lived, that gremlin.
Murray took him out in 2 seconds. Murray freaked out for a second and then knocked him right into the
cement. Well, yeah. I like when he was battling with it at first. People walking on behind him, like in New York City, as if that's something they see every day.
Well, it is. It's the late 80s in New York.
So besides the rat and the garbage, we have flying
Jason. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then I love that in its last breath, it goes to become a gargoyle.
But see, now that would be a sequel. That gremlin's sort of still alive. So, like Zool or whatever, the Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Christopher Columbus, if you're listening, run with that. So how do the gremlins, again, the time of this movie, they somehow get to the New York Stock Exchange, unless it's in that building. Somehow they're at the stock exchange, like within minutes.
Well, you also heard the gremlin saying, buy or sell. See, those are the little parts that I did laugh. The secretary part, this part, like, again, that was so subtle. If again, it goes pretty quick, but it was pretty funny,
So you mentioned before you have favorite gremlins. Is the Flasher gremlin one of them?
No, there was no point again for that one. It just where did you get the raincoat that small?
The seamstress gremlin. The fact that she kicks him in the nuts and he just flies in the air. That made no sense. And then again, more sponsors in the movie. Then they cut to a Lego store with a Lego gremlin. See, now Fisher-Price toys everywhere.
Did they make that gremlin, the Gremlins, or was that just product placement?
Product placement.
Okay. All right.
Or it could have been both, because right after this part, this whole friggin' world, this whole movie just goes crazy.
Well, this is where right after this part is when we saw it was a cow. It was a cow and a camel running down the hall.
Yes. And so Dr. Cather's talking to Billy, and the film gets eaten up. And then the gremlins start doing shadow puppets. So what Joe Dante really wanted to do, but they said no. He wanted to, again, this is like asking people that are making $10 an hour, probably $5 an hour back then. They wanted to ship gremlin cutouts so they can actually have them do it in the projection booth. Ridiculous. But this scene,
the shadow puppets was pretty funny though. And then he had Abraham. He did a bunny, and then he did Abraham Lincoln.
Yes. And they put on a smut film.
I know.
And it's called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because that's in the first one, but in this one, it's not Snow White and the Seven.
See, that's why I was confused because the mom. First of all, the mom mad that the movie was over, or the kid was watching the smut film when they switched it over. Because
she was happy that it was over, but that the smut film was up.
I think she said they only want to see Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or the film guy said that.
Yeah, the Gremlins do because they watched that in the first one. But
they were watching a smut movie, so I was confused at this part because it was a black and white bikini movie, a topless movie of women on the beach, but it wasn't Snow White.
Maybe there's two.
Unless I don't remember Snow White, and that was like a scene in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Maybe there's two Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, one a smut film. But yeah, there was like boobs that were being covered up, like in the beginning of the Austin Powers movies. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I love that the guy, another character actor that's in a ton of stuff, the guy that plays the usher, when he goes down, and it's friggin' Hulk Hogan, and he uses the word Gremster.
Yep.
So did you know this? So this was only in the movie theater, in the movies. This is the only way you saw this version on VHS. Did you ever see the VHS version?
I'm sure when it came out.
It was the Hulk Hogan sketch was replaced with a scene in which the Gremlins flick over to a John Wayne Western where John Wayne is shooting at Gremlins and they dub over his voice talking to Gremlins.
Is it? Please tell me it's on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It's in the VHS. And then after a while, in the newest DVDs that came out in the Blu-ray, they added the Hulk Hogan, but I need to see that.
I would say we got to find that. That sounds amazing.
So again, now what is this? The fifth racist joke? Grandpa Fred finds the Asian tourist and asks him, "Can you work a camera?" And the guy says, "Work a camera? I am a camera."
Well, I mean, not for nothing though. The Donger, I mean, he makes racism himself. I mean, look at. I mean, I don't think you can make it any more racist than in 16 Candles, the role he played. So, yeah, I mean, but he's great, and he's basically playing the same role he played in 16 Candles.
Yeah, maybe in some world it is.
And again, this is where Fred is still wearing the same makeup and clothes. He hasn't changed. It's the next day.
If Gremlins were taking over and I had a chance of dying, I think maybe I take a really quick shower. So if I did die, that's not how they film my body, dressed like Grandpa from the Munsters. But hey, that's me. So this is where we get two of the most ridiculous. Well, I guess. Well, vegetable is the worst one, right?
I hope you're not going to say that because I did like this one. If it's the acid one.
Oh no! I was going to say the electric bolt.
Oh,
the bolt.
Yeah, we get a bunch of them here. So like one of the first ones was the acid one where he turns into the Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
And he turns around with the mask right away. I did laugh at that one. Then you had the hooker gremlin, which I didn't know they had a female gremlin.
I didn't know she had a name. There's no name in the whole movie, but I guess they named it for this Hallmark itty bitties. It's Greta.
You know what? If I would not say Greta would be a name I would think of her. I don't know what I would use. I don't know, but I'm just saying Greta. She doesn't look like Greta. But so you're telling me out of all these gremlins, only one female popped out, or is it a guy dressed as a woman? Guy gremlin dressed as a woman. Like
I was just thinking, can you imagine if you're the other gremlins? You're like, you know what? There's only one girl, and she wants some douchebag like corporate guy. She's in love with him.
Oh, well, we'll get to that part later. Now, let me ask you this. Obviously, they don't need to have sex to multiply. Can she carry babies? Like, and is it the same kind of is it the same kind of gremlin that comes out?
I don't know, but in Gremlins 3, I hope they answer this very important question. Where do baby gremlins come from?
She should be in the third one. Hint, hint.
Oh, I would hope so.
So,
dude, that's how it should open. Oh.
That should. But I mean, like, if she's pregnant, yeah. But see, the way this one went, I could see like a human playing like half gremlin, half.
Oh no! And
then it's gonna look so stupid.
That'd be a great SNL sketch.
It would. So
she's like, yeah, my mom's Greta, and it's her and like the dad.
See, that would definitely work for SNL.
Yeah.
But then you had the hooker gremlin, then you got the electric gremlin, which was ridiculous. But obviously they need it for a reason, I guess. Then you also have the spider gremlin at this point.
Yes, spider gremlin was cool.
Yes. Again,
I did like that one.
Could have been a lot creepier and scarier if like between like some of these gremlins, if they wanted to make it more horror. I think that was perfect. I
did like when he morphed, when you saw the shadow. I always love those effects when you see the shadow like change.
Yep.
No, I really like that. But so how about when Billy looks at Dr. Catherine and says, we need bright lights. Do you have flashlights? And he goes, no, but but I do have small assault weapons. He's like, I knew they'd come in handy one of these days. He grabs it, and then like seconds later, one of the gremlins has an Uzi. He's shooting up the place. Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was Gangster Gremlin.
That was Gangster Gremlin, yes. And then right away, this is right here, girl gremlin, Greta, looks at that guy, love at first sight, is chasing him and says, don't hide your feelings. Why can't you commit while holding his leg?
Wait, she says that?
Yes. Running down the hallway, she says, why won't you commit?
So how is she able to talk that much? Well, she is a female gremlin, so she's different than the other ones. You know, notice they also showed her leg first, the back of her legs first.
Yes. And Dr. Cather, he's the one, he gets electrocuted by the electrical gremlin. And then this is the best part of the movie, I think.
It's so what, Gizmo?
Yeah, it's stupid because it should have been all Rambo stuff. Maybe it should have been like Murdoch.
But he needed like, you know, like a montage of him like working out.
And the fact that he falls through the floor while lifting up. Where'd he get a little dumbbell like that?
Or a punching bag.
That was from like a Ken. Yeah. Well, the barbell was like for his size. The punching bag, same size. They couldn't scale that. But I love that he punched it and it gets knocked over. But when he hears the Rambo voice in his head, it says, you want a war? You got to become war. And it's like a Rocky, Mickey. I wish they would have done Rocky.
Yeah.
Then it could have been like Mickey's voice.
Yeah.
In that part. But that whole thing's just so crazy. And we talked about electrical gremlin before. The fact that, again, the phone system's the future. The fact that Billy puts him on hold in the phone system.
It's stupid, but I did laugh, though, when the hold music went on.
Yes.
And the gremlin goes like this.
That was funny. He did not like that.
And how about the fact that now he was in the lobby, right? Billy was in like, why was
this is when Billy's upstairs with.
Yeah, but that was his office lobby. Why was he getting changed in the middle of the lobby? Because that was by the front desk.
Oh yeah.
He was putting his pants on by the elevator.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing that for. So how this again, all this is going on. How is Marla
unbelievable
still working?
And not having a clue what's going on.
I know. She's walking through Spider-Man and she's like, hey, anybody here? I need some illumination.
She needs, right. She's looking for a light. She's light in her office. Yeah.
She says, no, but she uses the word illumination.
Oh, it sounds better with a fake New York accent. But yeah, how does she not, like, she's not hearing gunshots. She's not hearing chaos or what, like, there's so much chaos going on and she's acting like, and no one's around. Like everybody's gone.
Not like the spider web is there. It's always been there.
And she goes, what when she first walked in, oh, this is new. This is just something.
Jesus. So then Billy is, oh no. So Murray, the way Murray sneaks in to the office of school, I do like Clamp's like, oh, I can use my secret escape hatch. And it pops up from like a little like bush and he comes out and then Murray sneaks in.
Well, so that's obviously a secret way out of his building. He's not afraid of someone just walking in there and going right back in. Like, I don't think he thought of it through because now his office is open. It goes right through his office.
Yeah, why wouldn't he? Can he get in that way?
Well, obviously Murray did.
I'm saying if he closes it, is there an open button?
Well, if there isn't, that's faulty, way he made it. But like, wouldn't you think he would close it? It's like leaving your car door open. Why would you do that?
Especially in New York in the late 80s. You don't know who's going to go in there. But I love that. I love Murray, how he's like getting into the action. He's like, you know what? This is real. I'm not crazy. He sneaks, he leaves his wife, which again, she's safe, I guess, outside. But the whole plan is, so Billy tells Clamp to go outside. He wants to trick the gremlins thinking that it's dark out. Have them all in the lobby. Such an elaborate, stupid plan.
Ridiculous.
And then they want to put like a big sheet over the window. But this whole part, so how did Billy get knocked out?
Well, first of all, he on his way there, they had the one gremlin playing with the climate control.
Okay.
And apparently the climate control in the building makes a tornado in the building because Billy's walking through a tornado to get there. But I think he thought Gizmo was there. And I guess the one gremlin was pretending, the crazy gremlin was pretending to be Gizmo because he knocked Billy on his head. He was called.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. He was so he thought he goes Gizmo and he turned the corner and all he saw was a shadow. Right. And he hit him. I just want to know is now these gremlins are pretty small. How the heck did he drag Billy to the chair, pick him up, put him on the chair, and then tie him up?
And that was Drunky Gremlin.
Well, that's crazy drunk. Is it drunky or crazy?
I don't know. I call him drunk, but yeah, crazy drunk.
Yeah.
But the fact that he pulls the thing down and you see his eyes like. But Murray.
Wait, so you're saying when you're drunk, your eyes get like that?
No, I guess maybe it's just crazy.
I would say more crazy.
But then Murray comes in just in time, saves the day, and he's ready to go, dude. The next parts are amazing. The fact that Gizmo is making the bow and arrow, he has the red bandana on, and
him making that bow and arrow is pretty funny. I mean, he takes the paper clip, those big paper clips, and what was in there? It was a whiteout container. A pencil, and then a match just happened to be sitting because when you look at the desk, all these things are sitting right there. So a lone match was sitting on top of the table.
Well, it could be Marla Bloodstone's desk, and she's always smoking.
Okay, so so the match was lighting it. What was in there to make it explode?
I don't know.
Because it was whiteout. Like, does whiteout explode with fire?
No, that was just so silly but he saved the day. And the fact that Kate was going to help Marla given the situation, because even that Marla's stuck in a spider web, she's still kind of like, but she is nice to let her know like, oh, Billy did nothing. I came on to him. And then Kate is just there and then she gets caught and the spider gremlin's coming.
But did she get caught? Like they didn't even show, like she was just standing there.
No, I know.
And did Gizmo really save the day? Because he's the one that really caused the whole problem anyway. So, like, does that count? Like, if you cause chaos, but then you end the chaos, does that count as saving the day?
He's like that asshole friend that, like, pushes you near the street and then pulls you back. Dude, I just saved your life, man.
Well, that's happened to you?
Gizmo.
That's happened to you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not friends with them anymore.
Well, you pushed him in the street and you didn't pull him back?
Yeah. He's dead. But I love that she says another one line. She says, I didn't even get to first base with Billy. Well, how could you say that to somebody's girl?
Well, she almost did. She gave him a kiss. You know, this is the 80s.
No, yeah, I guess that counts. It's like a bunt. So I love when Kate is holding Gizmo and they're all together and she goes, what happened to Gizmo? And Billy says, they must have pushed him too far. The line from Gizmo 1, from Rainbow 1.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing of that movie. So what the hell was that Kate monologue about Abe Lincoln?
Because in the first movie, she tells him a story about why she hates Christmas because her father died or something like that. So it was basically going to be like another long, sad story. And that's why, again, spoofing the first movie kind of, that's why I said, forget it. We don't have time for this.
It was Abe Lincoln's birthday.
Yeah.
I remember it was Abe Lincoln's birthday.
Yeah.
And then, because Warner Brother owns everything. They own the rights to New York, Frank Sinatra. So, of course, Brainy Gremlins singing that for like 5 minutes. He sings the whole song. They even have like Greta, Girl Gremlin, like they have the thing like from the Muppet Show, like all the move. It's her face. She's dancing.
They had a chorus going on. It was a whole production. It was again. It's a Muppet. This scene was like a Muppet Show. Oh, this would be like a Muppet skit.
And how then I know they're showing all the dancing again. They must have had so many puppeteers. So from that, then they cut to some gremlins hanging off, like almost like at the school dance, like the badass like stoner gremlins. They're sitting there with weapons that say Army on them. There's a green box that says Army. I'm like, where was that in this building?
Greta came down on a trapeze Like, thinking, so how did that happen? Where's that? Like somehow all these things, when you become a gremlin, you could pretty much get it whatever you want.
Yeah. You just think of it and it comes. How about did you laugh when the tourist gremlins were reading the book that says dining after midnight in New York?
Again, the small little jokes and fun. I could watch a movie if there was no humans in it, and just like again, if it's known to be a spoof movie, like again, this movie was I think was meant to be a sequel because they didn't tell anybody it was a spoof. But if it was just a movie of just gremlin skits, I'm all day. I'm for it. Give me as many different kind of gremlins as you can do. I'll laugh. But putting it in a movie,
gremlin sketch comedy show. Hosted by Brainy Gremlin.
And just gremlins. It's funny. Like again, the secretary gremlin, the stock exchange gremlins. Like it's funny, But in a movie, it feels like it's very jumbled.
Oh, it's just, again, there's so many cuts of scenes. Like when we saw, I would more enjoyed visually of seeing the whole Gizmo training back to back to back. But the fact they showed him lift, fall through, another part, go back to him. And I'm like, just get it over with all at once. Yeah. Like, why do you have to drag it out like that? But I love when Murray tosses the gremlin and down the elevator chute, and he says, "Don't mess with Murray Fetterman." He's kind of a hero in this movie, Murray. I think he's a guy.
Well, again, there's a Gremlins 3 coming up. So I mean, I don't know. Listen, he should have died in the first one.
No, well, I think he died in the first one.
So I mean, yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I feel like Billy was kind of giving up at the end. Like, I don't know what he goes, something like, I don't know what they're going to do if they escape. And Murray's like, no, we got to listen. He goes, he compared it to something else. He didn't say Nazis, did he? Did he say,
maybe
he said
Russians?
Russians.
Say an anti-Russian joke earlier about the Russians.
Yeah.
They got Russians driving cabs here? Yeah. Russians, Chinese.
Yeah. Well, it was the 80s.
It was the 80s. The 80s, New York, crime, hating on Russians. Oh my gosh. And I love that Murray's like, and then when Murray gets Billy back into it, and then he gets a little nervous because Billy's like, I think I figured it out, because outside they're getting ready to drop the drape. And when they're about to do it, it gets cloudy. What are the chances?
Yeah. Pretty quick too. Like they didn't see that coming.
They didn't watch Channel 7 Stormfield to get like the weather report. But so then he's like, oh, what am I gonna do? So yeah.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say, like, we totally missed the interview with the talking gremlin and
with Grandpa Fred.
Grandpa Fred. Yeah. And what his main goal was.
Well, what he wanted was everything that took like thousands of years. He wanted it now.
Who they're talking about, the gremlin?
Brainy Gremlin just said, how civilization and democracy, and
then he shoots the other gremlin. He goes, see, now that wasn't very civilized.
All it was, and all it was a spark at the end. Nothing, no green blood, nothing. So then Billy has the hose. He hoses everybody down in the lobby, and then this is stupid. So again, it's all the technology, but he knows that Kate can transfer a call and it'll come out of the handset and shoot into the lobby and electrocute all of them.
Why does he die?
Who?
Electric Gremlin.
Oh, I don't know. I guess he wouldn't die.
So, I mean, like, he's like, first of all, like, you go into the water, fine, with all the wet gremlins, but he shouldn't have been infected by it.
Maybe he's okay.
Maybe. But
he'll be in Gremlins 3.
They didn't show him because now you think all the gremlins are dead.
But they are not. They are not. But how about the one that is, I'm melting. They cut back to it. It's a witch hat. Oh my God.
So how about the fact that how many people slipped on the green goo? I think at least 2 people slipped.
So one of them, again, he's in another movie. He had a small role in Police Academy 6. Dean Norris, the DEA agent brother from Breaking Bad, he plays one of the SWAT team leaders in this movie. He has one line. Yeah, he has one line.
Wait, the brother-in-law of Breaking?
He's in this movie too. Because remember in Police Academy 6, all he did was like
in the weightlifting.
Yeah, he was checking out Leslie East.
I didn't know he was in here. That's funny.
Yeah. So Billy, I don't know why. Why does he stroke this guy's ego? I guess he wants to get higher and higher at his job. But he says to Clamp, "You saved the city." And then Clamp looks in his pocket and he finds the drawing of Kingston Falls. And he goes, "What's this?" He goes, "That's Kingston Falls. That's our hometown. I drew that." He goes, "I want to put this in somewhere in Jersey."
No, he was going to write notes on what.
Oh, that's what it was. Yes, yeah.
Well, because he said he mentioned all 4 of them that saved the day. Not sure what the redhead did to say, like he put her in it, like she did nothing because he gave everybody instructions and he told her just keep smoking. So he kind of threw her a bone to help her out, you know.
Maybe he wants to throw her a bone.
Maybe. Well, apparently, what's his name? Clamper or what's his name?
Clamp. She's the new PR.
Yeah, she's the new PR. Well, Clamper wants to throw her a bone when he. That's he almost like he looked at her like he's never seen her before.
Oh, I know. No, that's what made no sense.
He goes,
"You definitely saw her before," but maybe he knew from all of his fancy surveillance that she was still working this whole time. No matter what, she's working. Gremlins in the building, gunshots. She's always there. She's working. I don't know what she's doing because all she does is tell Billy what to do. But yeah, so that scene. Yeah, so then he just says, "I want to build Kingston Falls, like in Jersey," which whatever. So then they're leaving. And I love that Gizmo. This is when Gizmo says, "Me, me, 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 me." He's just like mumbling. And Kate's like, "Oh, what did he say?" "Oh, he wants cable box."
Yeah, now he understands him.
Yeah. He should have said that. Well, if you stayed in the fucking drawer. So the end of the movie, the way they end it, again, satire, I don't care. The last scene of the movie should not be this.
Wait a second. So before we get to the ending, are we to assume that gremlin has been raping him?
Oh, yes. He didn't seem like he's really fighting off.
But he was like when she was walking closer in the bride outfit, he looked afraid. Like he was like, so again, we're on the same page that she basically raped him.
Oh, yes.
Okay. But then something happened that she turned him on. Like what happened there?
I love that she looks at him and you hear like the dun, 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 and then the next time too, you hear gremlin sounds. Like the gremlins somehow that are all dead are singing the song.
Well, it was the red lipstick and like her smacking her lips together that he turned around and he kind of made a face like, well.
And then he slide down the wall? But the last shot of this movie is her lips on the key.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, I just thought that part was a little weird because again, he was afraid of her. You know, so I mean.
So before I ask about that, obviously that was Gremlins 2, new batch. So you know what's kind of mind blowing? Not mind blowing, but people didn't like this movie, like viewers. So
you gotta be kidding me.
Well. But no, this is crazy. It's usually the opposite. The critics love this movie. New York Times said, speaking to the gleeful, hell-raising monster in each of us, Washington Post hailed as devilishly, hysterically, cacklingly, subversively funny picture that builds and builds until it literally self-destructs.
I think, you know, listen, it had a lot of, I guess, Hollywood stars, I guess, in there. So maybe they just, you know, like they just thought it was, again, funny that I don't know. I can't imagine like critics really liking this movie because it really isn't a good movie, you know. And just maybe because it was just like maybe they saw the spoof in it. Like maybe, you know, like the regular people did not realize the spoofiness of the movie.
Do you think other people in Hollywood that aren't, again, not like sequels, without sequels, you know, I'd be living on the streets, you know, that's what feeds our families. But can you imagine if other directors that did hate sequels saw this and like, yeah, sticking to him, Joe Dante? Because I don't know. It's like, that's what this movie is, like shitting on the first one. Like, this doesn't need a sequel.
How much money did this make? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't write it down.
All right. I mean, I don't know. Like, you know, again, the first one is so good.
Like, I'm sure it made money. I'm sure it didn't lose money.
You know what? There would have been a third one. I mean, you have.
No, he didn't want to make a second one.
Yeah, I know, but someone else could have taken it. I mean, you have with all these new Gremlins, you have so much product. product placement. So I feel like if it made money, they would have definitely made a third one. Because I mean, listen, this is the 80s. They had how many sequels made multiple sequels?
Oh, I know that.
So I think they could have if it did. Listen, all these horror movies have multiple sequels. So I think I probably didn't make as much money as they hoped. I just think it's hard because the first one is so good. It still holds up. You can still watch it now. It's still great. This one is so far from the first one. Like, I don't know. Like I feel like it tarnishes the first one. Like it really does, because they have no right to make fun of the first one. That's the to me that's the best part. Like, how dare you make fun of the first one, which is so great, with a crappy movie? Like, I don't know.
No, I know. So here, do you have your phone right there? You want to look it up real quick, and I'll give my little thing about this movie. So again, like Jamie, just like you just said, the first one's so good, and the fact that it's the director of the first one making fun of the first one in the second one, man, I just don't know. Like the fact that Gizmo's barely in it, and that the final shot of the movie is Girl Gremlin. I don't know. It should have been closed on. I don't know. Maybe there's a different ending. So what is it?
41.5 million.
That's
budget,
what the
budget 50 million.
What?
So it made 41.5 million US. So now again, I don't know what it made overseas. It just says US.
So it might have broke even. That means it lost money. The box office is what it made.
Right.
Oh,
that's what I mean. So that's why they didn't make a third one.
So that means that first movie, that first weekend, it did that bad that people talked to other people, and wow.
Again, this is to follow up a classic. Again, it's Gremlins is a top movie. It's played all the time. To follow up with this, I don't know what they're. Again, we know what they're thinking now, but I don't know. I think if they came out and promoted it like how they would promote Naked Gun, and they promoted it that way, it might have done better. I think people coming in here thinking they're going to see Gremlins 2, the formula that worked for the first one, and they were so disappointed. But if they knew like it's such a mockery of the first one and going into it, it probably would have done a lot better.
And if they didn't have like a Looney Tunes 2-minute intro, people were probably like, oh, fuck you.
And left.
Walked out. No, because like that's again, if they would have said that, like you thought you saw Gremlins.
Yeah.
Well, this is definitely not. I don't know.
Well, you know what they should have done? Like have Daffy wear like a Gremlins mask or something like that. And like to start, you want to start with the Looney Tunes, fine, but like have some kind of Gremlin logo. Right in the beginning, something, like him wearing a mask, I think would have been, or holding a doll or Gremlin doll or something.
Well, that was Gremlins 2. The next sequel we are reviewing is Hellraiser 2 Hellbound. Oof. We already recorded it, and it was a lot of fun. And man, talk about a perfect guest. First time we had somebody that we interviewed come back, and it was adult film star Brittany Amber. And we could not have picked a better person, right?
She, I've never seen the Hellraisers, and I also have never really seen someone that was so into a movie that has dolls, shirts, wall decorations, all because of Hellraiser.
Box. She had the diagrams of the box on her wall, like
autographed, and she had autographed of the cube. I mean, like talking about a super fan, we struck gold.
We did, yeah. The fact that she only mentioned it in the interview that I did with her was just video. I mean, it was audio. And the fact that she just said she liked Hellraiser and talked about it for a few minutes. And then I was like, you know what? Let's ask her. And she said, yeah. And like you mentioned, she had the autographs. Next week, our interview is with one of the Cenobites, the Chatterer Cenobite, and that's Nicholas Vince. He was such a cool guy to talk to. He was in Hellraiser 1 and 2. He plays Kinski in Clive Barker's Nightbreed. He was such a cool guy to talk to. He's living in England, so he was talking about what's going on right now with the coronavirus, and we talked Netflix Christmas movies. His show that he has called The Chattering Hour, that's in podcast form and on YouTube, and I'll put the links in that for that next week. Man, he was just a really, really cool guy. Great stories to tell. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.